Hello and welcome. Let's take some time and talk about technical analysis and trading. I'm going to use ApeCoin because this is an amazing example. As the traditional stuff amongst trading, I've talked about how this coin has a nice bullish setup and everything. I'm going to throw that part aside. That's not what I'm talking about. And all of these moves going up and down, having buy and sell orders in place, such a magnificent strategy. I'm not even going to talk about that. For sometimes, and I'm going to go really short term analysis, you can see a pattern that is just magnificent. And then looking from the February the 3rd, really up until the 7th in here, there was a lot of support right here. And there was a lot of resistance in multiple spots, right in here, but even up towards this area here. And what I'm saying is, when you see this as a level, keep on. One strategy is keep on trading this. Buy at around 980, 990 down here, and sell at this upper end. But you have to understand when this is available and what the levels are. For now, that's not the play. Right now, the play is buying at around 1,000, a little above it, and it looks like something about 1025-ish or so, because we got this high, we're making lower highs on this pattern, barely. Selling up here, you could buy on this red candle, then the buy up here, or then you could sell up here with an order, then the buy order worked to be down here. Of course, you wouldn't have known that beforehand, because before you would have been playing this support level, and then it ended up doing what it didn't do before, and that's holding and staying above this line for multiple periods on the 1 hour time frame. That's what it didn't do before. Thus now it's been supporting this area in here. But again, we're talking about trading, and I really want to go back to September of last year to really show the effects of it, or when volatility is even better than this. And when you have just an ultimate sideways move, and when you see it and it just keeps happening, how well it can work. So I'm going to scroll back to September of last year. And what we're going to be talking about is this little sideways consolidation in here. Everything that ended right till the end of September. So basically up until this point in here, some beautiful sideways movements. Case in point, right in here. If we're back at this time frame, we had a spot where support was at around 829 and resistance was about 896. That was well over 7%. But how would you have known, and how could you have played this? And let's go back even further in time again too. Here we had a range where support was 861 and resistance was up here. Okay. So let's go back to in here. Before this up move, if you were trading this, how would you be trading this at this point? Because before there was a support here and resistance, and it's been in a downtrend. There's no real clear levels of resistance. Thus, any sell orders you have, at least any next sell orders, can only be at next key levels of support. Not counting, of course, how the order book looks. I say that because you can see where big sell orders are. But because we can't see that on this particular thing, we're just looking at price numbers. So you'd sell it maybe around 1029, regardless of the fact, whatever you sell at, you're going to sell it. And then it comes back. So therefore, you're buying it instantly. You have a big move like this. If you're going to be buying, you're always looking for do leg lower. So, key level of support. Breaking this level here, it's going to have a big move. So I don't want to buy until maybe break down here to 928 or whatever the lower level is. When you see a move like this, you can automatically put in larger sell orders. Do I do a lower high one, maybe around 1100, 1111, or even 1120 lower high? Do I want to do a matching high? Go for big volatility if it's going to come back. So in here, you almost got to guess for levels of resistance. There's not much more else you can do. But when the market does this, there's no trading this. When it stays in the 18 like that, not even maybe. Grinding its way lower, not much you can do. We've established a level of resistance. Now, within this back and forth move, you were looking at like 3% volatility. We want to stay away from moves that low. Did you buy here? If you did, you could place sell orders accordingly. We'll say that you didn't though, but we would have in here. So now we have a situation that you'd be looking for maybe selling at a previous area in here, in the 940s area. Buy order somewhere in a nice leg lower because you're establishing this level of support. You've established resistance here, especially if you're lucky enough to buy at like 850. You can now go ahead and even consider putting a sell order hit at 910 because this could be the sideways consolidation. But obviously doing such there, you just hope to have another sell order in place. But going back to the point of selling up in this area here, we're going to be getting the sideways move because you're going to have to see how it adjusts to it within normal trading. So we'll assume in here that we did sell up here. So now where we want to buy, you want to buy maybe this congestion area like around 867. And because we haven't bought yet, we didn't sell up here. You'd have sell order somewhere up here. So 867. So there would be your 867 buy. Where's resistance established in here? We got 951. Definitely 984, maybe an area you might look for. So 984 areas where I'd be looking to sell. We're establishing resistance in here. As you can start to think, okay, you can continue playing for this, less of a chance you're going to hit it, but sell at this high number. Or you can now start to put sell orders in at 915, buy orders back at 853. Not bad volatility. So let's assume you even do both. You were fortunate enough to have a nice buy down here that you could afford to sell at 953. Of course, if you bought down here, you probably should have sold. But let's just assume that if you did buy down here, then you would have been able to sell. And after placing a sell order here at 918, it would have been a maybe because it's just a good price number if you're okay with like close to or a bit more than 10%. So there we'd have a spot where you would sell. So you now put your buy order down at the lower end of this or at 870 and you would hit. So now you put a sell order back here about 914. You have a buy order somewhere nicely below. And there you go. So here in a spot like in here, you would hit it. And who knows with this period if you would have got those buy right back after, because you can't tell by looking at this what happened first. Did the market go down first and up first? And if it went up first, were you fast enough to be able to get the, notice you sold at 919 or whichever number close to this resistance, and you didn't sell at 946, no. Because we know this resistance here is in here. And it still is, because it didn't hold and stay above. But we'll assume that you just come back, you got the sell order, so you put a buy order back into the lower end around 856. You'd have a sell order maybe, but maybe maybe you now put a new sell order at 947. That would be fine. Or maybe even go higher to 980. But we'll assume that we bought it like 856. So this candle would have got the buy order in. So then you put your sell order back. You got two choices now. You can choose where you sold before at 915, or you can try to up it to about 930. So conservative level 915, you got a better chance of hitting, of course. And not much would be happening. So 915, if you were selling it here, we could see the high was 13. Now that's going to be realistic. You're going to miss a few of them. But this 915 didn't hit, or miss rather. So you got your sale at 915, and it closes at 853. So you just buy. It worked out well. Now you put your sell order back again, maybe 909, maybe 910. Of course, neither one of those didn't go on that order there. So there's your 910. And if you were there, you put your buy order back again somewhere in this lower area, maybe 860. And there's the 860 fill. So you put a sell order back at, say, 908. 908, did it hit here? It didn't. 907. And now you need to be buying at a lower leg. So breaking down below 851, I'd be looking maybe at about 810. So I wouldn't be buying here. And so on and so forth. So now we move into a point in here. 810 would have been a buy, I think. Maybe not, though. Yeah, 810. You had it in for a while. Your order hits. So before then, where would you be selling? Now, we seen there was a green candle, but Obviously, it's a lower leg lower. And if you bought 810, we got to consider if it's lower low, lower high. So where on the lower high do you want to go? You'd almost want to guess the number. I'd be guessing 872, 873. And I know it goes a little higher, but so be it. But as resistance now established at 888, so future buys, and I'm going to be looking to buy now at this previous support area here, maybe at 834, and then sell up here at 890. Or if I put a buy here at 815, if I don't get it, I'm not going to put a sell order in. But if either way, but 815, if I got that buy order in, we can see the low is 809. Then I'm going to be putting a sell order here at this upper end at 885. And it hits. And I'm going to be buying this level of support, 835, maybe even down to, there's two levels. I can do the conservative number at 833, or I can do the more aggressive one at about 814. And 833, would it have missed here? It would have hit. So on the conservative one, you'd be putting a sell order back at 890. And you can see on this one it hits. And then you get the buyback here, sell order again at about 890. And it would hit here. So do it again. Put your buy order back down here around 830. This low is 832. So we're going to say no to that, but not to this one. No. 822, 818 even. You buy at 830 there. And the sell didn't happen here because we're selling at about 880-ish or so, 888 approximate area. Too many resistance hits here. Right now, it didn't get above it on this move, so you're just waiting. And there we go. We have it in here, 888 hit. And on this little move in here, the low happened to be 838. I would have to say you didn't buy because you're probably looking to buy around, conservatively, even around 830, more aggressively at about 825. So that's a miss on the buy. But is this one? 825 would have been. 826, 827. Well, that hit. 830 most certainly did. And then you're putting your sell back up here again on your 830 hit, if that's, of course, your number. If it's 820 and you miss, you got to wait to buy, wait for it to break out higher, and so on and so forth. But there's your hit again here. And, of course, you didn't sell at the top. You didn't sell over 900. No. Maybe 888. Now, you see there was a little bit of a higher move. So maybe at times, if you were buying maybe 830, maybe you might want to go a little conservative, maybe 840, because of a little bit of an extra move. But it did pull back fast, so I wouldn't yet. I would still consider 832 or so to be a good area. And we can see 832 did work, and now we put your resistance. I'm not going to match this high, because to me, this high, it didn't stay and hold above it. So 880, like 888 again. And I'd be waiting, and now not much trading, as this is in a stop. We can see here that this trend has got a lower resistance for a short term. Support is still the same. And there we have it. So 888, did it hit? Let's just see. 891, it did hit. And in a spot like this, after this move, you could say, oh, it comes back to here. That's extremely conservative. No, I'm still betting or looking for 832, 831 area when something like this happens. And obviously in here, you'd have to make yourself a determination at some point. Do you settle in and buy cheaper and then play for smaller volatility? And for maybe one or both of the reasons, you might say no. And maybe those reasons aren't good enough. And you're like, you know what? If that's what the trend is, I'm going to take 3 or 4 or 5 trades this way. And as you can see in here, if you took it, oh my goodness, it's continuing. But here's a spot where by playing it, you got this resistance where you'd be playing the 888 number, which would have hit here as well. No need to stop it after buying down here. But these rallies aren't making it to 888 though. Even this one only going to 885. So at some point you have to say to yourself again, now do I want to lower resistance? And again, lower your volatility. And oftentimes again, you just wait it out and let it play through. And you can even adjust your levels of resistance. But in here I would think, I think keeping 888 would still be fine over for everything that it's worth. But everything's back in play here. You would have got a sell order here. which meant, okay, I guess you can now consider, do I buy here at this new support? It did dip below. Maybe I, instead of going 832, or maybe I'm going to go about 837. And I probably would. I'd probably increase support just that little bit, pierce above this high in here. And the 830s are now definite major support when you would look at something amongst this kind of nature. So as we move forward, you have situations in here where things change. So therefore, buy down here, we'll say you did, and you're selling at 888, which means in this case here, you missed it, which is, either way, you're not going to buy it back if you sold it. And as it comes up here, you sell. And every single time you're selling at 888, you got a new sell order thereafter. So in a spot like this, you'd have to say to yourself, if it's going to break out, where's it going to go to? And by knowing what you would see here, you would say maybe 984, and that's a psychological number. So I'd be looking maybe to go sell about 988 as its next level. I mean, and I know it's breaking out, but you're always doing that anyway. So your 988 hasn't hit, but most certainly a buy order would have obviously hit on a play like that. Because you were selling at this 888, and then of course you didn't do it. So now you got the buy, and you can put your sell order back, say up at this upper end area. It's a good chance you didn't buy at 800. You could put a buy order back there again as it's above that previous low, because I mean there's no way you would have got it unless you're playing so many small levels below, which is fine as well. But you'd end up having markets move. You would have established this level of resistance in here. So one of the things you'd have to ask yourself is, now do I adjust my sell order maybe to 899? Is that going to be the new range? If you do, of course, it's not going to hit. And then again, you'd be looking at it now. It's probably more stronger to go here than here. Although oftentimes you're going to sell this and this would hit as well too, but you still gonna have times, is this one of them? Yes, it is, where you're gonna hit 899 and or anything barely above it, and it's the right play. Because in this case, well, now you bought in here. We got support definitely established big at this level, so put your sell order back again below 9. And if you sell it, you're gonna look to buy it back again at this 840 number. And of course, there you go. So now you have the sell. And after 899, I hope you'd have a sell order near 1,000. But in a case like this high was 992. So it could have been, you could have got it if you got like a 988, 989 sale. Of course, the next period after that, it did go to 1,000. And if you're doing this live and you have one of these magnificent breakouts like this, then what you will have happen is, if you see it, your order fills, maybe you're watching it, you're like, I'm just going to wait for it to hit. You got 987 in, price action is at, like, you're watching it move up 950, 960, 970, bang, you see your trade get filled. So now you put your buy order in, and when it's up so big, I want to bet where it came from, or that's where I want to buy back. So I would immediately be putting a buy order in for this area of resistance, somewhere near 886, conservatively maybe 891. And as we can see here, that you'd get your buy filled. And notice I said conservatively at 891, and it did go down further. And I used the word conservatively because whether you're right about it coming here or not, which is say 865 where it did, and you got a better buy offer, that a move higher is just going to work out great for you as it is anyway. So it's still fine. But if you do play this and you miss on the more room, like for example, let's just assume you did have a low of 851. Well, maybe you still might hit, and oftentimes you still will when the market looks like this, but not always necessarily the case. And in this case, yeah, you would. And back in here, when you buy, where do you set your resistance levels? Do you want to go back to this previous high? I probably would. somewhere up around here, like 990 again. I see a level of resistance here, but I don't want to take that number. It's dragging itself lower. So if I look at my next level, I'm probably buying a little over 800. It's a decent leg lower from this point here. That's what I'm looking to do. So 835, and maybe I might look for a bit better. And so there's a chance maybe I might be looking for a good hair below 800, like 780, 775. And of course, we can see there that the 780, 775 becomes a magnificent play. So I hope this can give a little bit of insight to it. And one more thing I did want to mention is when you see this pattern live and you don't own it, it's relatively simple to get into it. And that is, you're looking at it, it's in play, you see this resistance in here. So therefore, you're like, okay, let's just stick a buy order in for like 835. And then you got your buy order fill, so now you can play the game. You put your sell order in, and you just go from there. And sometimes you can try to make a game out of it. And you start maybe with whatever unit you start with. You go back and forth. You can get like 40, 50% gains sometimes if you get a wild play like this by playing the all-in method. So therefore, when you're buying at, say, 836 originally, maybe you're putting in 0.01 Bitcoin on it. And then several trades later, when you're buying at 836, you're putting in 0.013 Bitcoin on it because of the trades that you've been making. And then 0.016 on it if it keeps going wild like this. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.